Good evening, agents, and welcome once again to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show right here on the theStreamtv Fan Show Network. I am your host, Kevin Becker, and joining me, as always, on my left...
Hails and salutations, this is James Hartman.
And on my right...
Hey everybody, Keyla Alves Teixeira, and I'm repping Scarlet Witch tonight. Hell yeah.
And on my further right...
Hey guys, I'm Mark Cirillo. I'm repping Captain America, which is very appropriate because...
we got a lot to talk about, that's why. But before we do, we want to go ahead and invite you guys to invite your friends to join our conversation right here on the theStream.tv's YouTube channel. So have them come on over. We want to talk to you guys. That's what we're here for. All right? And before we dive into all of the nonsense and madness that has happened to us over the last couple of days, we want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Daily Marvelite. You can follow them on Twitter at Daily Marvelite, or you can stop on over to their website at www.dailymarvelite.com. They're really cool, write a lot of great stuff. So, we are the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show, but we're a little bit also the Marvel Cinematic Universe After Show.
And the show goes on.
We're just gonna stick with it. So, in the last 24 hours, the internet has officially exploded because Variety reported that Robert Downey Jr. is in final talks to enter into the cast of Captain America 3, believing that this will kick off the Civil War storyline. Before we talk about tonight's episode, let's go ahead and talk about what this means for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm gonna hold off my opinions till the end because I feel like you guys might yell at me. But I know Kayla has been dying all day.
My body is ready.
Kayla, there's a list of things not to say on the internet.
The particles are moving around. That's what's happening. It's
Captain
science.
America versus Iron Man. I want to see it. It's gonna happen. I want both of them to just battle each other out. It's gonna be so awesome. You kind of already saw the separation in Avengers. You're going to see more of that in Age of Ultron. It's going to be amazing, but it brings up what's going to happen with the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Yeah.
True. What do you guys think? Where do you are you pro Civil War? Are you anti Civil War?
I'm all for Civil War, and I don't know how it can work since Sony has Spider-Man and Fox has mutants and X-Men, and I would love it if they were somehow Marvel was able to get them to all work together and split the profits, but I don't see that happening. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe has changed storylines that were so great in the comic books that you couldn't imagine being changed and eliminating characters and stuff, but they did it, and they did it amazing. So I have faith. I have faith in them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, they're so adamant about how much they love the franchises that even are owned now by other studios, like Sony, because they've had the talks about Spider-Man maybe joining in because, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't do so well. So, you know, in order to promote the characters, maybe they can bring him back because they both, Sony and Marvel Disney, kind of own the character, so they might bring him in. That will expand the universe, and I think that the whole dichotomy of what the Civil War arc puts onto the Marvel Universe will be like a really brilliant extension and expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if they start it off, they will sow the seeds in Captain America 3, and I think it will carry on for the next few Marvel movies, including Avengers 3. So that's going to be an exciting movie.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Spider-Man in the mix, hopefully. I mean, we know that he reveals his identity.
No spoilers.
Well, if you haven't read it yet, you guys need to go
Get
read
out there and do it.
now, please. But what do you think?
Okay, so this has been a day of me having conversations. I talked to my friend Dylan, who actually is one of the people who's responsible for getting me into comic books, and we talked about it because I wasn't sure. Are we ready for Civil War yet? We haven't got as big of a roster, and my issue with it is this. I know a lot of people love Civil War. I like the Civil War comic book, but as we have seen, and as Mark brought up, there have been a ton of storylines that have been put on screen that are not frame for frame from your comic book. Winter Soldier has been said to be one of the best Marvel movies that they created. Winter Soldier on film versus Winter Soldier in the comic book, very different. Big lack
Both
of...
excellent.
Both excellent, but big lack of Red Skull in the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely none, who was a central point to the comic book story. So, I think that what we have to, as fans, be prepared for is that this is not going to be the Civil War that we read. I think it will have the heart of it, but think about this. There is no secret identities in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Tony is Iron Man. Steve is Captain America.
Yeah.
Thor is Thor. The only one I think is a little shady, is if people know, is Hulk. Like, I don't know if everyone knows that Bruce is Hulk.
Well, everyone in the government at least knows that he is Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so
Right.
what I think it's going to come down to is a continuation of what we saw in Winter Soldier of civil liberties. Captain America saying, you can't tell me exactly what I can and can't fight. You know, I'm fighting for right, I will fight for what is right forever. If they did it the way, if I had my way of doing it, and I think this might be an interesting way to do it, Civil War is not one movie, but is a phase. Starts in Captain America 3, goes through the possible 4 or 5 movies that we'll have between that and Avengers 3. You can still do Infinity Gauntlet in Avengers 3, and as my friend Dylan pointed out, and I thought this was brilliant, it could bring them back together. And then you've got, you know, Chris Evans is only signed on for that movie as his last one. Mm-hmm. We can say our goodbyes. We can have the reconciliation between Tony and Steve that I love very much.
And then he can maybe sacrifice himself for the greater good of the team.
And then Bucky can pick it back up. Like, we're set up. Sebastian Stan's got 9 movies to
That's
do.
true. He's got a big, long contract going on.
There's a lot of things that I think will be good. In the end, I believe that whatever they put on screen, I will love. Mm-hmm. Because I love even the movies people don't like.
All of us will love it. I mean, Marvel knows what they're doing.
Yes, they do. I mean, like, and by the time the Cap 3 comes out, we'll have, you know, at least half of the Defender series coming out by that point. So hopefully Iron Fist, Luke Cage, you know, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil, first off, who got revealed recently this weekend, and it was just like, it was just fantastic. I love it, because they're going the Frank Miller route, and it's just... Mwah. Mwah.
But we've talked about the big universe. Let's bring it back down.
Scale it down. Scale it down.
Let's scale it back down to tonight's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, the big thing that came through this episode, we saw a lot of Coulson and May. We saw a lot of their relationship, their interaction, and a big thing was Coulson talking to her about his fear that he will turn into Garrett. He will go that megalomaniacal way, and he wants her to pull the trigger. She says no, but he still orders her. Do you guys think if it goes that way that she'll end up following orders and she'll do it, or what do you think she'll end up doing?
I don't think so. I honestly don't think she'll pull the trigger. I think it'll end up, if it gets that way, obviously I don't think he's gonna die. But if it ever gets to that point where they're gonna be so suspenseful of it, and oh my God, is she gonna pull the trigger? I don't think so. I think this is gonna be the one moment where May doesn't follow the orders, and then that she's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that, but I kind of, for some reason, I picture this whole scenario in my head where it's gonna get right to the last minute, where she's supposed to do it, she has to do it, she doesn't, right? You know, and then all of a sudden, like she didn't need to, and it was a good thing she didn't pull it, and so there's sort of like a big emotional
she makes that
punch
decision
to
at
it.
the
Yeah,
last
exactly.
second. I mean, I don't know where they're gonna take it. Coulson was good to begin with, whereas Garrett was not. So I think that also affected him becoming a megalomaniac and everything, and you know, and turning against his own people, or using them as cattle essentially, because he didn't care. He could see the bigger picture. I think Coulson has the potential of seeing the bigger picture, and at the same time knowing what the greater good is for the people that are around him. So maybe he will become a superhuman and gifted, just like hopefully Skye will become further on. And hopefully we'll find out some more about them in the next episode from from now.
From the way it looks. I think it's possible that we could end up, I know we mentioned it last week, but I'm going to mention it again, with a Dark Willow scenario. If we look at Buffy, of, you know, if Coulson goes bad, May's friendship being what brings him back instead of her following the rules.
And they keep mentioning like his he's getting worse and stuff, but we haven't seen that worse yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only seen one moment on right now where he does that, but we haven't seen him be really bad. And like they talk about it, but we haven't seen him really in his in his moment where he's doing all that crazy.
That's a really good point.
Crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
I
Exactly.
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
He just obsesses over carving everything.
Carving, yeah.
Right.
And so I think we'll see more.
And he has a shaky hand.
Oh my God! God forbid no one should see the shaky hand.
But speaking of people who we are seeing reactions, the last 2 episodes have been what I'm going to call Fitzapalooza. That's what I'm going to call it because I just made that up. And last episode we saw a lot of Mac and Fitz or McFitz. I'm putting together phrases, guys.
Hey.
And,
Served at your local McDonald's.
Nice. this episode, we got to see Fitz starting to get better. He was able to work with the team. He helped with the hacking. He had a beer with the guys at the end and put together a sentence about Simmons. To moving on was their big thing. So we're starting to see these steps. How long do you think it's going to take before Fitz is fixed?
I feel like this is a season-long thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very gradual and slowly like work its way up because it keeps getting. I mean, for me, I keep getting more and more emotionally involved with it.
Yeah, they're just slowly giving you more and more of his character, but not like some parts of the old Fitz, but parts of what is going to become the new Fitz as well. Because he's like a little bit darker. He's evolved, and even though him and Simmons start off as being the comic relief, I would say in season 1, right now they're probably gonna add some real story and drama into it, and we're gonna get to explore these characters a lot more, which is incredibly interesting, and see them how they evolve separately, which is awesome.
I love that. I agree with Mark. I think it's going to be a season-long thing. I think it's definitely going to take into effect 100% is when Fitz and Simmons actually reunite.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to really drag that out. I don't think they're going to give the fans that reunion yet. I think they're going to drag it out a little bit, maybe like in the mid-season or have them reunite in something. But I felt, every time I see Fitz, I feel so emotional.
Right.
And my heart hurts a little bit. And I'm just like, I love you so much. And it was great seeing him really just work and be part of the team again, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, it was so cool. I loved it.
And I agree with that. Like, I don't mind that they're dragging it out. Like, I kind of want it to last because I'm totally enjoying it.
Yeah, because his performance is just, it's so
Brilliant.
captivating.
Yeah.
So is hers. Like,
No, but like
she's amazing.
the actor, I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name.
Iain De
Fitz.
Caestecker.
There we go. I mean, he is phenomenal.
Right.
Like, he's so great this season. Holy cow! Like,
I feel like they've got these 2 arcs that are going to go the whole season. They've got Fitz and getting fixed, and they've got Ward, because we talked about Ward's redemption, and I think Ward's is going to take longer because I think they're going to have to get us to warm back up to him.
Yeah, because they take time off of him in
they
certain
take time off of
episodes,
him,
so.
and I don't think it'll take the whole season, but it will definitely at least take half. It'll take a bit, I think.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think it's very necessary.
It's a real, and like he's got like both of these gentlemen are suffering from real issues that you can't fix in an episode.
Exactly.
Right.
It would be injustice for them to be like, one episode they're cool, and then one episode they're, back into their...
Exactly.
It's just, no.
So this episode ended like every Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode ends, with something we absolutely have to talk about. So you get through the whole mission, the fake faces, the May fighting May, all of this stuff, and then at the end, we meet our friend Whitehall and our friend Raina. And so Whitehall is giving Raina 48 hours to get the obelisk back to Hydra. Otherwise, many, many threats ensue. So, how far do you guys believe Raina will go? Because she doesn't have ties to Hydra. She is working for the Doctor. So how far do you think she's going to go to keep that obelisk out of Hydra's hands?
I don't know if she's going to go very far. I think she's going to give in. I mean, well, we saw in a preview that she's going to meet with Coulson and she's going to try to work a way out where they're going to work together, I assume. But what scares me the most from this episode is that, like, Hydra really is stepping their game up.
Yeah.
So from the previews of this episode, we had no idea Hydra was even going to be in the mix of this episode. Like, all of us thought it was just going to be like, okay, this episode's not going to be all
We're going to do some dancing. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be a little dancing with the stars
chill.
episode, but, like, it completely blew my mind when we found out Hydra was in this episode, and then Hydra knew about Raina, you know what I mean? Found her, like, they have their shit together, like, holy shit, excuse my language, but it freaks me, it freaks me out a little bit how Hydra is just, they have ties in everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, and the fact that they went all the way to imitate Talbot's face and everything.
And May's face?
Yes, and which obviously created one of the most spectacular fighting scenes on television history, I'd say, right now. It was just so awesome. It was just, But yeah, it's just, they are going all the way for this. They know what's important, and clearly, Whitehall was affiliated with the alien at the very beginning, so he's trying to find his way back to this alien technology. So every kind of artifact there's out there, he's trying to collect. So it's reasonable why they were there.
Do you think he knows more about the, how do you pronounce it?
But the obelisk?
Obelisk. Speech impediment.
Obelisk.
Do you think he knows what, like, the powers of it, like, more than Raina does? You know what I mean?
It seems like, that's why he's after everything, is because he knows the whole history and he seems to understand the technology.
He has quite a significant grasp on what its powers are, since he said you can control death itself.
Yeah. Right.
Or at least he was starting to. Like, we know that he's World War II Hydra, and we know that Hydra in those days was the Nazi strange science division, and they were taking it from him. So it's one of those things, if we've seen what World War II Hydra agents are like, they're obsessive. They will go for what they want. So either he does know a lot, but I think it's more so that he was on the brink of understanding, and no one's going to take that knowledge away from him.
Right.
And so I think he has a bit of knowledge, but I think that Raina, because of her connection to the Doctor, probably has more.
And that's why he's obsessed with it as well.
No, that doesn't make sense. I just want answers. I want answers right now.
Well, I think they've all just scratched the surface of what it is. The only one who knows more than anyone else is the Doctor, literally.
Yeah, and
yes.
and I'm hoping The Walking Dead. Did this last season where they did an episode just for the villain of last season Walking Dead, for all you Walking Dead fans. So I'm hoping we get an episode just for Hydra.
Maybe.
Nice.
That will be good. They will fill in the story
That
of
would be
Whitehall.
good. This was heavy Hydra, but I mean just like the entire episode is just perspective of Hydra.
Right.
Which is possible.
Which would be so cool to see.
It would be. We are actually going to go ahead and answer some of your questions, but before we do that, we want you to stick around. We will be right back with your questions, but take a look at this. This is going to be pretty cool. Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live. In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, I'm not fake, I'm so real, okay?
Hey, who's excited?
Woo! She's a little superhero slut because she's so I just pissed everybody off.
She's like such a glamazon. Join the writing team because you are hot.
And I loved it.
That is like tension beyond belief. I found her to be deliciously out of control.
We were all just looked at each other, just like, ah!
So we can assume that you've written letters to inmates before.
Give me the diamonds. I need them for my wife.
Take charge and kill everyone.
This Holocaust coffin!
You were agreeing with me, so I think it was a great point.
Good.
You know, you can't count anything out.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
With your shoe size, my size.
Well, that was pretty awful.
Oh my God.
Very cool.
Welcome back. So it is now time for us to take it to the streets. I immediately apologize. So we're going to take it to your guys' questions. So let's go ahead and see. These are some questions we've collected throughout the week, as well as from our chat tonight. So our first question comes from @Newmobi. And they ask, does it seem like Hunter and May are having a silent thing like when she was doing Ward?
Can it be that?
I'm pretty sure Newmobi wrote
already?
that. I think Newmobi wrote that just so that I would say doing Ward on the internet.
I mean, I would pay to see that. That would be nice.
Scandalous.
I can't sigh hard enough.
Scandalous. What?
Maybe. I haven't got enough evidence to think that's happening, but maybe. Maybe. I'm thinking maybe like Skye and him.
Yeah, I
have
think-
a thing.
Yeah, more so since he like winked at her at the beginning of the episode. He's like, oh hey, you got the key.
He's very much like, hey, Skye, how are you? Is this his accent? I don't know. But, hey, Skye, how are you? You want to... he's a much better actor than that. And, that's every frat guy I met in college. But it seems like that's the more viable relationship than him and May.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I kind of agree with you. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yes, high five for that one. There we go.
Well, I mean, I think it would make it for a good relationship. I'm not just being dirty.
I'm not being dirty either, you guys.
Right.
Gosh.
Kayla's
Pay
never
to see
dirty.
that, you know?
Before my eyeballs roll out of my head. Our next question comes from @LaserBlast2014, and they ask, if you were a judge of Dancing with the Stars, what score would you give Coulson and May's dancing? You guys may not know this. Some of the members of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cast were on Dancing with the Stars last night. They showed up and hung out.
Oh,
really?
So
Wow.
let's flip it around, yo.
I give you.
I hate myself this episode.
I give Coulson and May a 9, only because May's so hot. In that scene, she was just like being all like, yeah.
I'll be the woman of your dreams.
She was indeed being all.
Yes. If there's any word to sum that up.
All right, so Kayla gave him a 9. Mark, what's the score?
Well, they definitely lose a couple points because of that weird back-to-back
Yes.
move where they just went like that.
That was not real dancing. It was just like
that's not a
cha-cha.
thing. That is not a thing.
No,
That's not a
let's
dance
just all do it
move.
really quickly. This is dancing.
So what would that be, like a 7?
This is my go-to move right
turn
here.
around and okay.
So yeah, I would 7, I guess. 6
Okay.
or 7.
All right.
That's a
never
fair
watched Dancing with the Stars.
grade to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.5, just because they were talking about like really interesting stuff, and then they revealed that it was like a personal mission for them. So it was a lot of good expositional dialogue. The dancing itself, even though they advertised it in the preview, was not much of a thing in this episode. You know what?
We thought it was the whole thing.
Actually, I was actually okay with that. It's not a filler episode. It's a full-on episode.
I
So-
hated that as well.
I would say, the trailer made it
I
seem
could
like a
go
filler.
on, but like, come on. I know right now the ratings aren't very high, and it's very unfortunate because the show was so good this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Can you
It's
not
so
give us
good.
trailers
They haven't
like
let us
that?
down for a single
Please?
episode.
The trailer for
Am I
next
right?
episode, the teaser for next episode looks really good. I would give them a 10, mainly because I don't know how to dance, so they look like they could, and I'm gonna give it to them.
They dance better than Kevin, therefore a 10.
Everybody in the world dances better than me, so they all get a 10. That's a 10 for you, and a 10 for you.
10 for you.
And our final question comes from our live YouTube chat. It comes from Saber236. And they ask, I wonder if Coulson has a read on Mockingbird and if Fury planted her prior to Winter Soldier. Do you guys think, is Mockingbird a S.H.I.E.L.D. plant, or is she actually Hydra's head of security?
Oh my God, this is such a hard question.
That's really tough.
Part of me wants to say yes, part of me wants to say no.
Because they said in the preview, covers will be blown. So I think that will be Simmons' cover that will be blown in the next episode, or it will be Mockingbird's cover that will be blown, protecting Simmons. So she'll sacrifice her position to get Simmons to be higher up in Hydra or something like
and
that.
also we have to assume Hydra now knows also that Coulson is in charge. because
Right, yeah,
they didn't
exactly.
Take her out.
No, yeah,
True.
and they might be, and the previews might just be fooling us in a way just to think that Mockingbird she's pretending like she's still working for Hydra,
Yeah.
but when she goes after Simmons, maybe she's like, I'm not actually going to kill you, I'm going to take you to safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few moments where it looked like she was trying to protect. I think there was like a moment they were in front of a door looking back at Simmons, like, I'm going to try and protect you or something like that happened in the preview. It was all so brief and happened so fast.
I would not be surprised if we got the old TV switcheroo where the preview is making it look like, oh, Mockingbird is after Simmons. Simmons gets worried, but the actual episode is Mockingbird saying, oh, we have a mole, and Simmons being very nervous, and then
Yeah.
Mockingbird sells out somebody who is an actual Hydra agent just to take the scent off of Simmons. I would not. That would not surprise me because that's what trailers do. They get you excited. So
Yeah.
Except for last week's trailer for this episode.
yes,
Yeah, they
These are
kind
the
of do.
opposite.
I'm sorry, I'm such a bad person. I really love this episode though, but the trailer really was me.
But I love that surprise. I mean, I was so worried that it was going to be disappointing, like that it was a filler episode, like they were going back to like last season.
we were a
where
little
there
ready
all
for a
these
half-an-hour
filler
show about the
episodes.
Civil War.
Where, like, nothing,
Yeah.
right.
Let's talk so much about that. Like, oh.
But we could keep talking for hours, and we will, but we just won't be on camera. So before we go, we want to do a couple of shout-outs to some really cool friends of ours. First out, on Twitter, check out at iHeartCoulson, at S.H.I.E.L.D. TV fans, and at the Marvel Legion. Big shout out to those guys. If you love talking about all this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel stuff as much as we do, check them out because there's always great conversations going on over there. And now we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But before we do, be sure to check out at S.H.I.E.L.D. Radio, and please, please, please check out their Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. You can find it at helicarrierpodcast.com. So go ahead right now on over to theStream.tv's YouTube channel and like us, or subscribe, and all that great stuff, and tweet us your questions throughout the week using the hashtag AOSAS.
Yeah,
And
we want to hear from you guys. Yeah,
We do.
I
Yeah,
wanna
just
hear
keep
from
those
you.
questions coming.
Yeah.
So thank you guys very much. We'll be here next week declassifying as much information as we can find. And you guys have a great week. We'll see you then.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.